Hallo, agus fáilte go trí seascad den phrògram h-Alba a táirsiúcamh na scíalachan ingantach an na sùil spórs na ban a thula seachcain. Is me Iona Ballantyne agus san an phrògram a ggéireadh acinn, ha mí tálaite rá go bhfuil bean-uasal ball-coise na h-Alba choilrúm sin studio có eile ach Reilly. Phrògram na h-Alba le gheama na chomhlatheis a tena glú ha coachin an Scottish Thistles, Tamsin Greenway, bruidhinnidh na ggéana Jessica na skippe. Géibh sin na bechcan ag rós bliadhna Bheir Iona an ball-coise na ban in Alba. Agus ha airris chudromach acinn gaibh ha córacha leth-cheud bliadhna fan na cha chiad gheam Alba agus sasain a chluig a sé an casc ball-coise na ban in sasain a bhí a hócail. Rose, welcome to 360.
It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure of ours to have you on because your story in football, in sport, in life is incredible. I'm actually really sad we've only got a half-hour programme to hear everything from you. But for people who might not know your story and what you've been through, just tell us how you even just got involved in football in the first place.
Where did I start? Told by my mother I was only 3 years of age when I wandered off away from the family home and she found me at the local football park. So obviously there was an attraction right away. Then the usual thing, I asked for a football from Santa Claus as a gift, and the usual doll arrived in the scene, but I went out and swapped it for a ball, which was my love and passion right away. And I used to sleep with it for two reasons. I was afraid my mum would take it away from me, and I was so in love with it, so that was it. Then I started playing with a boys' team. I was about 6 years of age, and Stuart and Boys Club asked me, the coach asked me if I would play with the boys and change my name from Rose to Ross. I obviously couldn't get in the changing room, so they gave me my football strip to get changed at home, and that was my football career starting. There was one particular game I'd scored 8 goals, and there was a Celtic scout there who wanted to sign me. And the John Roy, the coach of Stuart and Boys Club, said, no, it's a wee lassie. He said, no, the one that scored all the goals, he says, it's still a wee lassie. So I was gutted. I thought that's my Celtic career over before it started. I thought if I was good enough, why could I not play for Celtic?
Mm-hmm. And then the thing is, your career's then since taken you, well, I want to say over the world, throughout Europe especially, and across the world. Before we get into that, what other sort of challenges did you face? Because I know at school, was it the bell every day for wanting to play football?
I started the school. It was a Catholic school, so I had to travel from Stuart to Kilmarnock, which was a long way for a wee lassie. I was about 4.5 at the time, and it was separate playing grounds. The wee boys in one and the girls in another. We weren't to get in each other's playground. And I went because I was playing football. And the first day I got the physically punished, the belt on your hand. And told not to go back in that playground, but I went every day, and I get the belt every day. But hey, I remember the headmaster saying, "You're never going to learn, Rose Reilly," and I said, "No, it's you that's not going to learn. I just want to play football. I wasn't doing anything wrong."
I wonder what the headmaster would say now after seeing your career and what you've done for sport, for women's football. It's amazing. I know there's a lot in between Scotland to Italy, but what did Italy do for you and your footballing career?
Right, Italy, as soon as the plane landed in Linate airport, right bang in the middle of Milan, as soon as I walked out the plane, there were no buses to take you to the terminal or whatever, you just walked. And I always felt, it was like a mother's embrace. I felt at home. I loved the smells, the passion. Italy did everything for me. Absolutely everything, from even a growing up point of view. I mean, I was only 17, I didn't know the language. We didn't have a telephone at home, I wasn't in touch with my parents. I was there with my wee friend Edna Neelis, who come back home because she was homesick. So I stayed in a hotel for the first year on my own, and my teammates didn't speak English and I didn't speak Italian. So I used to speak to myself in the mirror at night, but not in a sad way, just so that somebody was speaking to me and it was myself. So that was fine, and then I learned the language, and it was all go from there on.
But even before learning the language, you could communicate with your teammates through football, couldn't you?
Absolutely, it's a universal language, the football. It doesn't matter where you go, the language of football.
Tell us about your achievements in Italy. There are so many.
Aye, they're all right. Well,
Can you rhyme them off your head?
basically...
I've got them written down here so I can remind you.
Well, you can say it then. Basically, I got banned for playing for my country, banned for playing for Scotland by the SFA. Sin died, it was called at the time, banned for life for playing. I played for Scotland, scored against England, and then I got told I was banned for life. There was no obvious reason. I still don't know why. I just assumed it was because I turned professional and went to Italy. I was only trying to better myself and I got banned. So I started off playing for AC Milan. We played at San Siro Stadium. I won the Serie A title in Coppa Italia, and then I got sold to Catania. Got sold to Catania because there was big money for the transfers in the days, but I didn't know that the money was getting exchanged between the two presidents until I seen the president of Milan scooting about in his Alfa Romeo after he'd sold me. So that was a transfer fee, which I never got any of. But anyway, I played in Italy for various teams. I won 8 Serie A titles, 2 Italian Cups, 2 golden... I've
actually got 4 Italian Cups here.
Oh, sorry, I've missed 2 then. Thank you, Iona. 2 golden boots, got asked to play for Italy, won an official World Cup with Italy, was named the best female footballer in the world in China at a tournament. When I used to play in leth-cheud. So I was playing for Lecce on the Saturday, and Stade de Reims asked if I would fly over to Paris and play for their games on the Sunday evening that they played before the men's games. So I said aye. So I used to play in the Italian League in the Serie A on the Saturday afternoon, flew out to Paris on the Sunday morning and got wherever the Stade de Reims were playing, arrived there, played in the Sunday evening, flew back to Italy on the Tuesday for my team training, and I won the league in France and Italy that year. So that's mind-boggling, isn't it?
It is mind-boggling. It's incredible when you hear this. What do you, just tell us quickly, what do you think when you listen back to what you've just rhymed off, what you achieved against all odds from that 3-year-old in Sherton? Yeah,
well, I get physically punished. I get sacked from the 1 or 2 jobs. I lasted for about a week in. I get banned for life. I get expelled from school at 15. I nearly get burnt at the stakes. But against all odds, I did it.
It's amazing, Rose. Thank you so much. We'll be hearing much more from you shortly. Well, leth-cheud bliadhna arall, channéadh bornaíoch ball-coise chluiche, achar saliamh bornaíoch mar Elsie Cook, agus Rose Reilly, chanán mar sin a cúsin in Jew. Rhainiad 3 airson a gheama chluiche, agus gael la leoa ag a cheann hall. Nach torsin sùil rasmaha, go gheam an a gréanach an a neiciad seachgat sa a gahrich cor gheam an ban go bra.
O chiún da ich is a cwyd blian arall ag Ravenscraig yn Gréanach. Cha gheama ball-coise a chluich a dheachrich a gheama son bornaíoch yn a-Alba. A channeal mór an eolach chudromach sa bhain gheama sin.
It's really important because I grew up less than a mile up the hill from here, and I can see the stadium from the house I grew up in, and I didn't realise that there was such a significant game of football played here. I've played football all my life and I've been involved in football, and to think that 50 years ago women couldn't play, it's really unbelievable in this day and age.
I remember that day as clear as anything. It was amazing. Get quite emotional. These girls were told they couldn't play football. They were lasses, they weren't allowed to play football. It wasn't that they couldn't play, they weren't allowed to play. And it didn't matter what we said to SFA. At this game here at Ravenscraig Park, that was in 72 November, we weren't allowed to use an SFA pitch. That's why we came here, and Ravenscraig offered us a pitch. The referee was a Jim Cleland, the Renfrewshire Referees Association. So we've so much to be grateful to Greenock and Jimmy Cleland for getting this game off on its way kind of thing.
Joprich Gillian Duffy go ddíchlach gus Johnny Keenjach gon bí gheama sóirite ag Ravenscraig Pioneers and bliadhna. Le scipion clanian for h-Alba na h-Alba a assassin.
When the 50th anniversary came up, the council said they fancied doing something, and I sent an email to say, well, we've got 2 groups of special girls here, why don't we recreate the game? And it lets people see how much the game's progressed in 50 years. The people at that time couldn't have a referee, weren't allowed to play on a pitch, so this was the only pitch that would let them play. And we had an all-female refereeing squad which would have people turning in their grave to think that the females were so front and centre, and having coaching staff where management are females. I'm a vice president that's a female. It shows how far in 50 years we can come, and these girls know that the impact they have today will be impacting somebody in 50 years' time.
We didn't realise we were trailblazers, but we all had a mission. I had a mission. When I saw a girl called Susan Ferris playing football, she came to me when she was in 1961. She was 17, and she could do everything with a ball that the men could do. And because of Susan Ferris, I had to keep going. I had no option. Nobody gave me a choice. I just had to keep going. And then along came Reilly at 9 years of age. It was just remarkable.
Chunnig Chimichil míle Ballantyne gheama ball-coise scanneal. Agus h-Alba an tain go cúiste skipping na h-Alba an nochdadh seach sa gheama a bheith an láthair. Stray gheama, ba captain na h-Alba for h-Alba na Diach, Kate Fraser a meorachog a húne an an phrògram Scottish na h-Alba. Agus bheir son tain go horsin na túsar na hanig roia. Scas an open dheireadh, hi eachdraidh sa gheama a hailán gúilson.
It's an honour, real privilege. To meet some of the ladies that played as well is amazing. It's amazing what they've done and how far the games came. I obviously want to pursue football in my career, so they've definitely made that possible, and I'm really grateful to them. For all the girls, we're really excited leading up to it. Obviously it was our final game, and to end on such a high is great. Yeah, I'm really happy. Couldn't believe it.
It makes me feel proud. It makes me feel proud that people are coming out to support the girls, and it makes me feel proud that the girls have that skill and determination to prove many doubters wrong. For many people this will have been their first game of football or watching girls football, and I'm sure that many will have gone away thinking that this game was just as equally as good, if not better, than a boys' game.
Absolutely so talented, and to see this today and all these talented wee lasses that were playing the day, oh, amazing. And they're super fit. A lot of our players back in the day weren't really fit. They just wanted a game of football, but they weren't really athletes. These wee lasses are all athletes. The game has come leaps and bounds.
Had Gillian son Johnny Keenjach gon cúmiad dul leis an díla bathóisich Elsie eisen skippe an an nochdadh chiad seach sa gheama. Nuair a bhí sí I chiad bornach na ceann suya Scottish FA na h-Alba.
Well, I'm vice president, so I'll become the first female president of the association, and with that I know I have a lot of responsibility to make sure that you're seen. If you can't see it, you can't be it. So we're hoping that this game springboards other women who are coaching and volunteering to realise that the sky's the limit for them. And for these girls, they've got 19 of the Women's World Cup and Euro team played with us at under 15 level. Some of them played for 3 years, like Caroline Weir and Kim Little. So for them, they can see there's a clear pathway to get to that professional level.
I dreamt of all the things that are happening today, way back then when I was 14. I don't know why, but I did. I believed in them. I believed in the girls.
Chríoch in lath le curum a bruidhinnidh Elsie. Is a hula clúiche san skippe a fein chiad gheama achgar son Alba.
a really big moment considering that we have people here who have played in the 1972 team who haven't even been given their cap yet. They're getting theirs retrospectively, so some of our girls will get their cap for today's game before some of the 1972 squad. And it is a special occasion. There'll be tears and laughter and cuddles and everything else as we leave, because we really bond together and come a squad. And I think every girl that plays knows she'll get on the pitch, so every one of the 18 girls knows they'll leave with a cap. And that's really special, because for some it will be their first and only cap. For others it's their first cap and the pathway to getting 50 and 100. So it'll be a really nice occasion. We're always sad to see them go, but we've got 5 that can come back next year. So we're hoping that they keep improving, and the ones we add with that will have as much of an experience as we can. And hopefully this becomes a permanent fixture every second year. Being president, I'll be hoping to get one here anyway during my presidency, so we're hoping that it opens the eyes and people are more open to having girls' games.
Rose, you were there at that match. What was it like seeing it take place, especially at Ravenscraig? Did that bring back all your memories?
Yeah, it brought back memories, but it was amazing. It was so good to see the young girls with their Scotland strips on, so very well organised. And Gillian Duffy's an amazing person. She's really good with the kids and all of our backroom staff. I was so proud. I'm not really an emotional person. For me, emotion's weakness when I was playing, so I didn't show it. But I get more emotional watching the wee girls than I did when I played myself. So it was fantastic to see them. It was fantastic the way it was all organised, and it was just an amazing moment for me. 50 years down the line, and I thought we were getting beaten 3-2, and we'd lost 3-2, and I thought, I hope to hell we equalise. Sorry if I swore there, but it doesn't matter, it's not really swearing. I thought, if it ends 3-2 again, I'll need to come back here in 50 years' time. I thought, oh. But then we equalised, so they've saved my face.
What is it like? How much does it mean to you seeing these young girls have this opportunity now that really wasn't there 50 years ago?
Yeah, no, but that's good. I think it's us pioneers that were called trailblazers, call us what you want. We used to get called different names, and it wasn't that, let me tell you. This is our legacy. We've paved the way for the young ones, so that's quite an achievement in itself.
Elsie had said in that feature that at the time you didn't realise that that's what you were doing, that you were paving the way for the future of Scottish women's football. What's it like now seeing all of this take place and how far the game's come?
Well, I couldn't, when I was playing, I mean, I started playing for Scotland when I was about 14, 15, I can't remember. So you're not looking you don't look forward, you're just, you play in the moment and that's it. And Elsie did so much for the women's game in Scotland. She organised it all. She was the secretary of the Scottish team. So hats off to Elsie that persevered. When I went to Italy and whatever, the game was evolving while I was away. So yeah, it's just fantastic where we've got to, but we still have to do more. We have to invest more. There has to be more investment in the women's game. We can see the difference from England because they've invested so much money and they're always progressing much faster than us. That has to stop.
Well, they had almost, down in England, sorry, they had almost 50,000 in attendance at the Women's FA Cup final at Wembley. One of Scotland's international players, Erin Cuthbert, scored in that game. There is obviously so much still to be done here in Scotland, but even for you, when you were playing even out in Italy, one of the matches that you played in, albeit a charity match, had 80,000 in attendance. Yeah,
that was at the San Siro. That was an amazing game. And when you've got such a big crowd, well, you up your game. At the end of the day, you're an entertainer as well. So you want to score an overhead kick or something.
Did you do that?
Aye.
Obviously.
Of course. You want to show your skills, and that was the case. So if that came to, I don't know if it'll ever come to Scotland. I think just now when we're playing some of our games at Hampden, like the Scotland team, I think it's a wee bit too much a big step for for us girls, for the women's game in Scotland, because we're growing gradually. I think we need a more compact stadium where the crowd can get behind the girls and it's not dispersed like the big stadium like Hampden, even though it must be a great honour to play there. But I think we have to grow gradually to get where England are today.
So would you say that the atmosphere means more than the location of the stadium?
Yes, yes. Of course you can have some games at Hampden. Obviously for the girls it's a proud moment. But I think the women's game in Scotland at this particular moment, we need the smaller stadium and perhaps even a bigger crowd to cheer the girls on.
What is it like even watching the Scotland international team now, even just across the past few years even? What is it like for you?
Well, for me, I think it was on the moment I really cried when Shelley Kerr's Scotland team qualified for the World Cup. For me, that was an amazing achievement. I think Shelley and the Scotland team overachieved to get there because we don't have the resources of the other national teams. So to get to the World Cup in the first place, that was great. And
then even before Scotland travelled out to France for the World Cup, there was a game at Hampden to send the team off. You were given your honorary cap there. How much does it mean to receive that, or do you think that's something that should have happened?
No, I didn't think anything. I didn't even know it was called an honorary cap. It's an honorary cap, Iona. I won it. I deserved it. I played for my country. Honorary. There's no honour in there.
Yeah.
The honour's away.
Yeah. Should it have happened before?
No, it didn't happen before. I don't look back, I just look forward. It didn't happen, so it didn't happen. It obviously wasn't to be. Maybe I was waiting for Nicola Sturgeon to give me 2 Ayrshire lasses. It doesn't get any better than that.
Because some of your team are still due their cap.
Yep, and one of them is Marion Mount. She's a Greenock girl, local girl, where the game was played 50 years ago. She's still to receive her cap. She lives in England now. But me and Gillian Duffy were trying our best to get her cap as soon as.
And so do you hope that there'll be more plans then to kind of celebrate 50 years on from that match?
Well, I don't hope anything. I think it's the legacy of the girls' game. Where I wandered away as a 3-year-old, it was a red blaze pitch in Stewarton, where I'm still picking some of the glass out my knees when I was playing there. It's now of the state of that sports centre. It's called the Reilly Sports Centre. That was really a proud moment from my fellow Stewartonians who decided to name the sports centre after me. So it's a legacy because the next day 48-year-old girls subscribed for the girls' football there. For me, that's just great. Then I forgot to tell you this, Iona, because you're saying, oh, what did you win? What did you know? Well, no, what did you win? What did you win? And I'd forgot 2 Italian Cups. About 3 months ago, I received the MBE from Princess Anne at Holyrood Palace. Now, I think that's for the first time I kind of thought, aye, you've done it, Rose. You know, when it got announced, Rose Reilly was to go through to receive her MBE for services to women's football, that's when it kind of clicked in me that I'd actually done something.
You've done so much, Rose. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wel, yn Tyrys Migeri gyfrein Shonraichte Tamsin Greenway Bheir Iona mar chóchan and Scottish Thistles. Vreini mi fi tocal skippe a chumach cian a vatche rhys na skipian a siar an pill. Chaniel fata gus yn ffaisyn a-mach Cymru h-Gaif sydd y Jessica son a gemach in the colahish awn in Birmingham.
As siwig I China stiach yn y griach dydych mys o noch y pandemic, agus na hwrygien sgyda eichgyn. Ha art coach in the Scottish Thistles, Tamsin Greenway, in is quite a dirt as siwig toshach hi anasach, sa driach coach I eichgyn.
Yeah, I think it's a strange one now when I look back. It feels probably quite normal now because we just got on with it, but it was weird, just the things like meeting the squad over Zoom. You know, I took on the job and 2 weeks later we're in lockdown. So there was a good 6 to 8 months where I just didn't get my hands on the players. We couldn't reselect the squad. And there was a lot of unknowns. You know, although I knew the bulk of the main Scottish players, I didn't know a load of the ones sitting underneath. So it's been quite an interesting couple of years in the job. Probably not how I wanted it to plan, but it also gave us an opportunity to strip everything back as well, which I think you rarely have in any kind of walk of life or business. So yeah, we look at the positives now, but it was definitely a strange time.
Ynys gyfel comasach i na beach yn chwtsi eichge hor siachad, a Tamsin a gamas iddyn sgypa sio fwch dy gyddard, gws un bi a chwyd is sgypi yn nasion ta eile, a hanas artis na ranganan.
You have to remember performance is long term. You know, world netball is a constant evolving piece. You've seen in the past 10 years, it's gone from 2 dominating nations to 5 nations now that are up in the mix. And the plan is to get the rest of that group behind that next 5 to up their ante. And just as we're moving forward, you know, Wales are pushing on and the African nations are pushing on, the Caribbean are as well. So it's kind of a constant moving piece. We want to be able to get to the best position we can get in world netball. And eventually we want to be able to challenge those top teams as well as beat consistently the teams around us. But that does take time. That's a whole shift of training, of moving into new eras that we've never touched on before, full-time programs and the youngsters understanding what it's like to play at that level and intensity. So there's a lot of moving pieces as we go along. But of course, the ultimate aim is to take this group as far as it can go and then continue to push Scotland netball on.
Vynnig yn sgypa na chiad gheamich yn farpasach achga yn Barbados, I ddarsa dúlach yn nuddi. Bys yn y chiad twrys a ha Tamsin iddyn sgypa eichgyn bio, bo oedd na parca.
I love that. It was really nice to actually play against somebody other than ourselves and have friendlies. You know, we played against Wales and Northern Ireland in the summer, but to actually get a test match, to get on home soil, to play at the Emirates, to have fans in the building, Scottish Thistles dress, to learn the anthem, all the bits that you love about the sport, all the important bits, all the special bits, to get first caps out there. It was pretty impressive. And then of course we got 2 great results under our belt as well. So yeah, very pleased with how the first test match went, because you never know, do you, with your first one, and it's kind of nice to set the tone of where we want to go. Players stepped up. It was the first time for me and Sarah Francis Bateman to actually implement some tactical elements on them and to see what they could tolerate, to see what they could take on board, to see how they adapted out on court as well. So, I mean, we were thrilled. The danger of always getting a big result on the first game is that you can't back it up. Well, they certainly backed it up, and they put a message down that, you know, this Scotland team wants to go places.
Han sgypa coachi agus na clicadar yn ulach, gyn o fiwyd I gemich yn y Cholaias yn Birmingham. Yn oer sy'n tos I chiad y gwlachog son na gemich yn Deireadh son cwp yn y crynia, a na dafil sa 3 har I hyd.
There's the excitement of major tournament, of going with Thistles. There's excitement for me as a coach, my first international big competition. You know, I've done it as a player for England. I've never done it as a coach. So there's all those elements to take on board as well. And it's a different kind of prospect to play sort of 7 games across 8 days, to play completely different styles, to know that there's some tough matches in there with Australia and Jamaica and South Africa, and know there's also some target teams as well. It's a totally different take for me, but I think what's going to be important when we build up in the camps is that we get the whole buy-in from the squad. You know, what is our overall goal there? What are we trying to prove? What are we aiming to do? And I think that's what I'm more excited about, the build-up, because, you know, we're going to have 12 incredible athletes, some experience, some inexperience, and but 12 players that are desperate to go and show what the Thistle style is all about. Off the back of Commonwealth Games, they'll get a bit of downtime, and then it's straight into build-up. We'll hit the World Cup qualifiers in October. And gone are the days where it's just sort of Northern Ireland and Wales and Scotland. We've got a few other teams in there, so there'll be a huge amount of games again across a week's play. So there's a lot to do, a lot to fit in, and it's pressure time, isn't it? They've got to come out on top. They've got to be in the top 2 to go to the World Cup the following year in South Africa. So yeah, there'll be no rest for the wicked, straight off the back of commies, and then it will be a rejig to see how we performed and see what we can do to make sure we get on top of the home nations come October.
Ha fysig Tamsin gyfel ober half the gi a han skipper sonnegal suas rangen in een teul. A ha cwysyn y coed mach gan skipper nasianta sonne blin di hien. Le route na dolle nache gus rutigen, sònraichte cholenach.
I am ever the fairy tale when it comes to sport. You know, that's the beauty, right? You go into it because you want to win things and you want to perform. But I'm a realist in where we are at the moment. We are 9th in the world. We have a lot to prove to consolidate at this level. But I'm under no illusions that this group can do that. I just think they've shown huge potential so far. They are upping the ante in everything we're asking for them. And what's really pleasing for me is we're only just scratching the surface. When I talk about this moving piece, it's about, can we start putting in full-time programs? You know, when I took over this role, some of these players weren't even playing club, weren't playing uni, aren't in Super League, are training twice a week. You know, the very fact that we're starting to talk about, well, you know, how many more sessions can we get into this group? How can we start to shift them towards being semi-pro athletes? What is that going to look like? That's got to happen before we can make major impacts, but we've definitely got the makings of a really special group that will build something not only for themselves, but more importantly for the future generations coming through.
Rose, it wasn't just football that you excelled in, it was also athletics for quite a while. What is it like seeing these other sports thrive in Scotland now?
Well, it's fantastic. I've seen the netball girls are doing very well, and the rugby girls and other female sports. It's great. It's great that they've got this opportunity to thrive, and it's really good that a woman in a girl in Scotland can choose their sport. That's good.
Even just tell us a bit more about your athletics career, because you did so well in that, and it was up till the age of 16, wasn't it, when you stopped? What was it? Just tell us a bit about what you did in athletics and what you achieved.
Well, it was just like the football. My athletics career was based on competing against guys. There was nothing in Stewarton at the time for women, girls doing athletics, so I just competed with the guys, and I won as well. Yes.
Obviously.
So I was in the shortlist for the pentathlon for the Commonwealth Games in Scotland. I think it was Edinburgh, and that was it, early 70s. Oh God, I can't remember, but it doesn't matter. And I had to go for a training camp up in St Andrews for a week, and I arrived in the scene, and it was all private school girls that were there, and they had all their nice tracksuits and whatever, and I didn't have anything, and they were just kind of sneering at me and looking at me. But that didn't deter me. I just
pushed you on.
Aye, and I always remember one girl said to me, it was the start, we had to do the 400 metres, and she said, you know, Rose, the coach said you have to go slow at the start because you need your strength for the final 100 metres. And they went off like a shot, and I was just kind of jogging away. And then I thought, she set me up, and then I overtook them and won. And then they asked me what weight my putt was, and I said it was a rock. So they were making a fool of me until the putt went flying, because it was obviously lighter than the rock I had at Stewarton. So that was thanks to Kenny Phillips, the guy that coached me in Stewarton, that always persevered with me. Then at a certain point, after this selection of the Commonwealth Games, the coach said I had to give up playing football because I was developing too much muscle, thigh muscles, like football legs, as I say. And I stopped for a week where I had a career on the horizon with athletics, nothing with the football. And after a week, I gave the athletics up for football, and there was nothing there for me. In fact, my mother nearly killed me once again. Bad choices, she thought.
But it's fate how your whole career is kind of spanned out. Had you...
I don't think it's fate either.
Do you not?
No.
Well, it's hard work, isn't it?
It's hard work, and it's what you've got in your head, you know, mind over matter. I think I used to dream about what I wanted to do. I wanted to go abroad to be a professional, because I obviously seen here there was no... that wasn't possible, and I went anywhere just to be a professional footballer. And so it was hard work and mind games with myself. I was going to do it, and I did it.
You did do it?
Yeah.
Which is amazing. But let's just even talk about representing your country. That is what the Scottish Thistles will be doing at the Commonwealth Games. That's what you did for not one country, but two countries.
Yeah. I did it, obviously my home country is Scotland, and then until the band met, and then my adopted country, Italy. When I got called into the offices up in Rome, the big majestic Roman statues were all about the office, and the president of the Federazione Gioco Calcio Femminile, that was like the head of the equivalent of the SFA, not. So he summoned me into his big marble office, and this guy was ginormous. He was a top lawyer in Rome. And he just stood and he said, you're going to play for Italy. So I didn't have a choice in the matter. I just looked at him and I said, aye, that's good. I was actually shaking with emotion. And I was so proud and honoured because there was about 40 foreigners playing the Serie A, and I was the only one that had asked to play for Italy.
Wow, and what a time you had. Did you feel the same pride representing both Scotland and Italy?
Absolutely. As I've said before, I remember we were playing against England, and we were playing in Italy, so the first anthem was God Save the Queen, and I was belting out Flower of Scotland, and then the Italian national anthem. But it was a Scottish hat beating under an Italian jersey, so I got the best of both worlds. I did it for Scotland also.
That is absolutely beautiful, but even then, just bring us on some more years to the end of your football career, because you played professionally for quite a long time, which you wouldn't see many people doing these days.
Yeah, I stopped playing professionally when I was 40, but I'd already mentally decided when I was 39 that I was going to play for another year, because I had to prepare myself for it mentally. You don't just stop doing something that was my dream for all my life, let's say. So I had to get mentally prepared for it. It's obviously an age thing. When you see the referees, could be your son or your teammates, you could be their mother and whatever. I thought I'd better get out of here while I can. I was still not in my prime, but I was still in good nick, and that's when I decided that was it. Then opened up a sports shop in Trani, in Puglia, the deep south of Italy. It was called Reilly Sport. So that was my career. And later on, I'd got a sports injury. I was playing for the local policemen. I couldn't play with them before because insurance matters, because I was playing as professional. You couldn't do that. And I actually got I tore my calf muscle because it was the new AstroTurfs that were out, and it wasn't very good, and I got injured there, a bad injury. And somebody said, there's a wee Argentinian doctor, he's really good. And that's when I met my husband, Norberto. And we got married in Italy he's from Buenos Aires. I got married when I was 44, and I thought I was menopausal, because when you're an extreme athlete, sometimes your period doesn't come and it disappears. So I just thought it was menopausal, but I wasn't. I was pregnant with Valentina. So I was 45, and I think I did everything backwards and frontwards. You couldn't say to a girl, an athlete nowadays, oh, just do your whole career and then get married when you're 44. Just have your kids when you're 45 and it'll work out all right. It worked all right for me. So that was a bonus.
Tell me, Rose, the whole, or a lot of your story is in a documentary which was on BBC Alba. It's on BBC iPlayer. You can search Rose Reilly. It's there until Sunday. Hopefully we can extend it and people can watch it, because there's so much more to your story. I wish we had longer, but can you just tell me finally, what does football mean to you? What I picked up and what's so evident from speaking to you today and watching your documentary is that throughout your life and throughout your career, nothing was going to stop you. Well,
like when the SFA banned me, and my mother nearly killed me, and I got belted at school and I got expelled from everything, I thought, especially to the SFA, I thought, I'm football, you're not football. That's what I thought. And then when my mum tried to take the ball off me, when I get the MBE, I decided to get this tattoo. Oh, I'll take my jacket off. Oh no, I'll take my jacket off. And it was just to show how much it means to me. The wee ball.
I'm going to keep your mic.
Nah, you all right?
Yeah.
The ball that I used to take to bed with me, and I was afraid somebody would take off, is now here.
That's your ball.
So it's sleeping with me every night again, because football was my life, still is, but in a different way. That is my love and my passion.
Rose, it's absolutely amazing. Thank you. So I actually can't even thank you enough for joining us today. It's
it's
amazing
been a pleasure.
to hear your story.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay.
And we will definitely speak to you soon. Well, sin airson a-mach, agus an sreath de trí seascad bí sin ráisi gaichar, mar sin Jan Cíneach go bhfuil se bh lentin BBC Alba son gach fistrichuch. Tá léibh son bhí chiad sé bliana eile thar bhí ann son bornich an spórs agus sé tlach go hain I bhí thuirsiúcah gach scílach, mar sin léibh an drást. Hallo, agus fáilte go trí seascad.
just made a promise to myself, and I swear I'm gonna keep it. Yeah, I swear I'm gonna live. To myself that I'd live, and I just made a promise to myself that I'd love, yeah.